as we consider the kind of difference here between Matt Gaetz and Pam Bondi, knowing that Donald Trump has outlined in some of his objectives for his second term to go after his political opponents, to dismantle what he views as a weaponized Department of Justice. We knew Matt Gaetz might be on board for those things. Will Pam Bondi?
I don't believe so. Pam Bondi, while she is intensely conservative, she's authentically conservative. Matt Gaetz, to call him a scumbag really isn't fair to mere scumbags. Pam Bondi, wow. Very experienced. She has, twice been elected the Attorney General of Florida, the third largest state, one of the larger law enforcement agencies in the world. Frankly, that 8 years of experience, makes her, in many ways, more qualified than many of the attorney generals we've had in my lifetime in terms of experience coming into the office. Remember, Bobby Kennedy, had limited experience other than as a Hill staffer, coming in for his brother, and Nixon's lawyer John Mitchell, even though he got to spend 19 months in prison, his only experience was in private practice and not really as a litigator. So we've seen a lot of people in that position with far less experience. She knows what to do. She knows how to get things done. She will not be, unmindful of what the president's wishes are, and she certainly will shake things up, I think, in the department, but not with the wrecking ball or the massive disrespect that Gaetz would have been working with.
Yeah. I'll tell you, people don't hold back on Matt Gaetz when they come on this program. It doesn't matter who it is, Ty Cobb. One thing that we know is her record. This is what we have to base our questions on. She unsuccessfully tried to overturn the Affordable Care Act. She declined to take legal action against Trump University, despite receiving dozens of complaints in her office. And then she joined the team defending Donald Trump in his first impeachment trial. This sounds like someone who is loyal to the president-elect. Will she stand up to him if he asks her to do something illegal?
Oh, yes. Yeah, she's not going to do anything illegal. Certainly she is partisan. She is loyal to the president. Keep in mind, she's a Republican politician. Her background is as a fighter. She was a prosecutor who, fought her way through an initial election where she was running against, very serious competition, former statewide elected officials, and prevailed, and then was reelected handily. She is experienced fighting, cartels, money laundering, public corruption. She has experience in all the important venues in which the Justice Department likes to see itself fighting. And I think she'll be, very attentive to what her real duties are. And I think some of the frolics and detours that Gaetz would have taken are things that she simply will refuse to do. That doesn't mean, of course, that she's not going to run a very conservative department. It doesn't mean, of course, that she's not going to look for other Trump loyalists and other people that are loyal to the conservative cause, to assist her. And it doesn't mean that she won't carry out Trump's priorities to the extent, that they are lawful and that they are humane. But I think she is a far, far, far better choice. I think she is someone, given who is available in Trump's orbit, from Mike Davis, who's a very smart guy but a flamethrower, to a handful of other people that were mentioned. She's far and away the best candidate I think we could have hoped for under these circumstances. And while she'll be very conservative, I have to say, in my own view, I may not be jumping up and down and ecstatic, but I'm certainly relieved.
So you don't believe that she would take illegal action if the president of the United States asked it. I do wonder, though, what illegal action Donald Trump himself could even take at this point, if any of it could realistically be defined as illegal once he assumes the office, given the decision of the Supreme Court that he has immunity from official acts. As he gets ready to take the Oval Office in January, what power does that give him, Ty?
Well, so I think, unfortunately, we didn't get to see that opinion refined as it would have been had the Judge Chutkan January 6th trial proceeded, and she had, parsed whatever it is that the Supreme Court meant in that opinion, sent it back up for, their review and refinement. So we don't really know. But at the same time, I think that there's a tendency to way overread that decision. I mean, you had to have a line somewhere in order to have a criminal prosecution. That's what frustrated the Supreme Court about the D.C. Circuit opinion. Was they said, we don't know where the line is, basically, but wherever it is, this isn't it. And unfortunately, that's not precise enough, as a basis for a criminal prosecution. You have to be able to tell the jury where that line is. And the Supreme Court drew it. They drew it aggressively, but it had to be drawn. And I think it would have been refined had we had more time. But with regard to does it mean everything Trump does in the White House is immune? Absolutely not. Doesn't mean that at all, and makes it clear that it doesn't mean that. Will Trump feel restrained at all? No. Trump didn't feel restrained when he was there the first time. He's not going to feel restrained now. He doesn't think there is any restraint on his power, and he will act, impulsively and not always cautiously and not always in a principled way until the courts reel him in. So I don't think anything's going to impact Trump in terms of a restraining force. But at the same time, I do think that people who think he's absolutely immune are sadly mistaken.
Donald Trump has talked about retribution, if I can get back to a theme that Kailey started us off with here, and in fact might seek retribution against some individuals, including someone named Ty Cobb, if he were reelected. Do you expect your life to change at all in the next couple of years?
I'd be surprised. I'm sure I'll have more aches and pains, but I don't think he'll be the source of those.